Supposedly the governor got one. He said, okay, come on, let's sit down and talk.
Yeah.
His kid was doing the negotiations. The governor said, let me sit down with him.
And they've done a lot to clean up Gettysburg. Gettysburg was very commercial at one time, but they've tried to take all of that away from the battlefield. If you have any interest in Civil War history, Manassas, Shiloh.
Very close to Manassas.
Yeah.
We spent,
I have not been to Manassas, but I've talked to people.
Please come to order. If memory serves me correct, this is meeting 175. Oh, good morning.
Good morning.
Happy fall. You're pumped up. First of all, there's going to be a change of program. We don't have our internet connection here today. Time order has failed us. So it doesn't make any sense for Charles Booker. Where are you at, Charles? Right here. Charles is in the back. Charles was going to do a presentation on websites that you can use to manipulate photographs, sort of like cloud computing meets the web. But if you don't have an internet connection, it's kind of tough to show you a website. And Charles, even though he is a podcaster and really good with painting pictures with words, we're just going to defer it maybe for next month or the month after. Because Charles is like me, much married man, so we got to check with the real boss so we know what side is we have for we don't. Okay, let's roll through our normal agenda. I think we're just going to tap dance in terms of presentation. I'm hoping for inspiration to strike me, as opposed to you out there. You're not looking friendly. Any case, let's start out with news. Anybody have any items of interest for the members? Things that have been going on? Nothing coming from the audience? Then you want to mention anything? No? Okay. You're going to make it really tough for me today. I can tell that. All right. That's all right. I'm going to step up to the challenge. There have been some things which have occurred. Oh, we have a new member. Okay, that's right. Thank you. Let me get back on track. We have to do the welcome. Do we have any guests here today, Mr. Kirkman?
I didn't see him, I saw him.
We have no new guests. We do have a new member, Dan Wyckoff, just joined. Dan, stand up for just a second.
I've actually been attending for several months, so
Okay.
I just thought I'd make it official today.
And if you see something you really like and you want more of, let us know. And if you see stuff you don't like and you don't want to see it again, let us know. All right. Just remember, it's your group, not mine. Okay? I'm here to serve you and your interests. Okay. Well, thank you, Dan. It's a nice compliment. News, things that have happened. There's been some new iPods released since the last time we met. There was a significant update to Mac OS 10.5 Leopard. There was Mac OS 10.5.4, if I remember correctly. There's another major update in the works, even as we speak, 10.5.5, that I think is probably going to get released sometime around the new MacBooks, end of October, beginning of November, somewhere around there. There were some major security updates that were released. QuickTime is one of those things that was affected. And with the new iPods, a new version of iTunes was released, iTunes 8. I'm just sort of playing around with it now, trying to figure out the new interface and that. But it looks like it's a good thing. I'll just put it that way.
Have you used the Genus?
Okay. First I had a question, are there any downsides to it? If you're running Windows Vista and you installed the original iTunes 8, okay, you need to uninstall it and download the new one and load that, because there was some
driver before you do something like that.
Yeah, basically what they did was they put some of the iTunes mobile media drivers from iTunes 7 back into 8, and that seems to work.
What about XP?
XP is fine. you know, hey, if programming was easy, even Microsoft could do it. Okay.
Jerry Seinfeld.
Okay, yes?
Have you tried the Genie or Genius function for
Okay.
creating playlists?
Being someone who's extremely cheap with a buck, because I got 3 kids in college now, all right, I don't have a iTunes account. And you have to have a valid iTunes account to be able to use the Genius. But I'm thinking somebody behind, yes?
But you don't have to buy anything. You can have
Yeah,
an account.
I understand. It's just, you know, I'm
But I tried the Genius thing, and it puts a list together and it recommends songs and stuff.
and did it put stuff together that was?
Yeah, it was pretty decent when I looked at the list. They were all similar in genres, but. And then you can save that as a different playlist, and then create a new one and save that as a different one.
The 2 things that I note, and again, this is not a comprehensive statement. This was just me sort of recovering from work yesterday, late evening. The cover flows, and I'm probably using the wrong terminology, but it's for those enhanced ways of looking at stuff. I was very impressed with that, because that's how my brain sort of works and how I organize stuff. So it made it easier for me to find stuff. And the other thing, they changed a whole bunch of stuff on how you import things. Because I do a lot of audiobooks and I do a lot of podcast generation, so I have to re-look at that. So they did some cleaning up of the interface, which I'm not quite sure whether, you know, they did it the way I want them to or not. But in general, much kinder to your iTunes library than iTunes 7.2 was. There were some problems with libraries putting iTunes 7.2. Other things that have come out, there's a free open source software utility called Applejack that I've talked about in the past in some of the things. A new version has come out which is compatible with Leopard. It's Applejack 1.5, so I've been busy installing that on the machines at work. There's a newer engine and version of ClamX AV that's come out. So we're now at ClamX AV 1.1.1, and this is an antivirus program. Okay.
What does Applejack do?
Applejack is when your system goes foobar, you can boot into single user mode and have this run various Unix executables that'll usually get you back where you need to be. Let's see. New versions of Flip for Mac, new versions for Flash. I'm not sure, I don't think there's anything new for Adobe Reader. New versions of
9 came out.
yeah, 9 Flash, yeah. Oh, 9 for a reader?
No, don't they usually,
Okay.
I mean, I use
I
it
didn't spot that.
professionally.
I didn't
I
spot that.
assume that they come out with the readers when they come out with a new version.
I haven't really been focused on computers this week. This is my first week back from vacation. My wife and I spent 2 weeks in Ireland, on a bus tour of Ireland. And, you know, other than getting a little water soaked, but that was okay. I don't think genetically maybe I should be in Ireland because I was really enjoying the weather. I'm having a little bit of trouble focusing on other things this week, especially work. Oh, well. So I haven't really been, you know, that razor edge geek looking at everything that's new this week. So I'm sort of just giving you the things that I did notice that hit my attention. Google released a browser, no Mac version of it, called Chrome, which was interesting, especially the end user license agreement that came with it that got pulled back. Let's see, other things that are going on. Jerry Seinfeld and Bill Gates apparently have become really good buds, and they're doing commercials, and I haven't seen those yet, so if anybody's seen them and they've got a feel for what it's all about.
We're gonna start using commercials for Windows.
I don't know, you know, it's like, let's see, I had a significant conversation with a person who works for a newspaper in Ireland, and when he found out I worked for a newspaper, he was interested. When he found out I did IT, he said, oh, we have to talk. And the first words out of his mouth is, how many Vista boxes have you deployed at your newspaper? And I said, well, at our newspaper, 0. And he said, well, how many at the newspaper chain did you work for? And I said, 4. And he was, out of how many? And I said, well, out of about, 6,000 client machines and, about 580 servers. And then I said, and the Irish Independent, how many have you deployed? And he said, well, the boss of bosses has a Vista box, and everybody else is still running XP. So that was,
What do you hear, boss?
give me a little bit of validation that we chose wisely. Let's see. I'm trying to think of anything else out there that's going on, major stuff. That's pretty much it. I'm still, sort of on that bus, driving around Ireland still. Looking out the window, trying not to fall asleep because every mile there was something more gorgeous than the mile before. How many of you remember the Johnny Cash song, 40 Shades of Green? Okay. Well, he had it wrong. There's more than 40 shades of green, I'm convinced. Okay, I think we've done news to death. So then we would move on to for sale or wanted. Anybody got anything they want to flog to the members in terms of old equipment and or things they want to give away? No? Anybody looking for anything in particular? Legacy equipment? No? Okay, so we'll move through that.
Remember last couple of meetings ago, you gave me a USB floppy drive.
Right.
External. Well, I'm embarrassed to say I'd like to have another one if somebody has one.
Let me check the basement.
Yeah, my son has a keyboard that he regularly uses, and its I/O is floppy. So
Okay.
when he found out I had a USB floppy thing, well,
Okay. I'll check and see if I got another one. Anybody else got a USB floppy?
Is a zip drive helpful or not?
No, I just like to have a floppy.
He just wants the floppy drive.
Oh.
Okay. But there are USB zip drives.
Right, I have one.
Okay. Okay. I'll write it down with the brand. Same deal as before?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Help desk? What do you think, Mr. Berger?
Oh, I did have one comment.
Oh, so we had a comment.
Genealogy one. For those who are interested in genealogy, especially in the state of Ohio, the LDS has got a test site up. It's in beta version, and it's labs.familysearch.org. And in there, you can download for Ohio death certificates from 1908 through 1953. It's not always up because they're constantly changing and updating stuff. But I've been downloading like crazy. They're the actual death certificates.
What date was that? What was the date?
1908 through 1953. You won't get anything late after 1953.
And what was the website again?
It's labs, L-A-B-S, dot, family search, all one word.
Use the, put it up on, bring up a text document, put it up on the screen, that way people know what you have. It's the white one, not the black one. Okay, while he's doing that, and LDS stands for Latter-day Saints, so it's the Mormon Church. They do a lot of genealogy stuff. While he's doing that, I need someone to do a presentation on Bento, which is the low-end database from FileMaker, correct? To try it out and do a presentation on it. Okay, so think about that.
Do they also get to keep the copy, do they?
Yeah, they get to keep the copy, but they have to do the presentation.
Yes.
If you don't do the presentation, you don't get to keep the copy. And labs.familysearch.org. Is that big enough for everybody?
And it will check the other states. I mean, it's just right now, because I'm interested, I can download the death certificates for Ohio. If you specify another state or what have you, it'll go there, but if they don't have death certificates available, of course, you can't get it. But it will bring up census pages. It's a pretty good search tool if you want to do it that way. Instead of going through Ancestry and what have you, you can go there, see what they have, write it down, and then you can go and look for it on Ancestry, because it's a little more restricted. Ancestry's good, but it's clunky, and it brings too many results that don't pertain to what you really need. But as far as death certificates and going through the different states, you ought to check it out.
Okay.
1908 to where? What's it?
1953.
53?
Okay. Let's see. Everybody got their fill of the stuff from Bill Howe? Yeah.
Who we got to thank for all that and why is it all here?
Oh, okay. The person you need to do the applause for is Bill Howe. A company that has his last name on it does marketing materials, among other things. He can get you really good rates and do good quality work. And fast turnaround, all three at the same time. Those are marketing materials that were originally done for Gillette before they were purchased by P&G, so the logos have changed in that. So this is all material that was ordered, paid for, but now is, I think the Irish term would be redundant, okay? And it's free. So, you know, if you want to do a second or third pass through on that,
Take it with you.
I don't think Mr. Howe would be upset at all. Okay. And just for those of you who haven't looked at the stuff, there's various types of shirts, hats, pens, calculators, mouse pads, laptop cases, fleece vests, polo shirts of all sorts of different sizes and dimensions, dop kits, and did I miss anything?
Sounds about right.
And other stuff.
Coffee cup.
Okay. And best of all, free. Okay. Oh, laptop cases. Did I mention laptop
Yes.
cases? Okay,
Thank you,
laptop
Dawn.
cases.
CD
And
case.
CD cases.
Like they're all fun too. Coffee mugs.
Yeah, and if you're teachers, you know, you're always short of materials. You might want to grab not one or two pens, but just grab a bundle of them. Okay? So that's who we have to thank for that. Okay. And it's okay to get up and walk over there and browse. It's okay. Yes?
I had a question.
Yes, Vivian?
I have a son overseas in Geneva, Switzerland, and I'm interested in doing Skype. Does that come with Safari? I saw where applications
Okay.
sort of, or do you have to download it?
Skype is not an Apple program. It doesn't come from an Apple computer. Okay? Skype comes from another company. It's free to download and to go. And if you have a Skype connection between your computer and another computer, it's free to do the connection. They only charge you when you start to go from your computer to a regular phone, or if you want them to set up a special line for you, where you know, there's a phone number that's associated with your computer. And I'm thinking, who was it they had? His daughter was in Japan and he was using Skype to talk to her on a regular basis. I think it was Mark Cobb. Anybody else here use Skype? Okay. Anybody have other information to give her about Skype? Seems to work best. Okay, works nicely.
I just have a question. Do you have to have a high-speed?
Yes.
It works much better if you have what they call broadband access.
Broadband.
Right.
And what about DSL or just plain dial-up?
DSL is broadband. Roadrunner is broadband.
Yeah.
Earthlink, as long as it's not the dial-up phone stuff, is broadband.
It doesn't work with dial-up.
Does not work very well with dial-up.
Also, I found on these internet platforms, if you have a headgear
Yeah.
with a microphone, you get much better clarity because it picks up the voice that's coming over and you get a reverberation and an echoing. And sometimes you can't understand the communication.
Yeah. Now, I use iChat to talk to people because they've all got Macs also. Skype is machine independent, so if they have a PC and they're running Skype on their Windows machine, you can use Skype to talk to them or...
No, he has a Mac.
Yeah, well, and it works with Macs, okay? iChat is just for Macs, but when I do iChatting, I use a USB headphone and microphone.
What was that again?
Headphone microphone. It's like, you know these headsets that people wear in call centers? It's like that, but instead of plugging into the regular phone system, it has a USB connector at the end. plugs into the USB port on the laptop, and then I have where the sound is coming out through the earphone and the microphone is being used instead of a built-in microphone.
Oh,
And it does significantly increase the clarity of the call for me.
I found though that just running, speakerphone mode works pretty darn well. Actually, I'm amazed at how well they cancel it out. Although test Skyping to my wife's laptop in the same room, you get the damnedest feedback if you do that.
Okay. So, okay, anybody else back there using Skype that has some more advice for?
You can buy regular phone-like handsets that plug into USB port.
Yes.
One of my favorite retailers, Boot, had one some time ago when I got it. Works just like a regular phone.
Were you planning on starting to do this right away, Vivian?
oh, no, my daughter has already done it with him,
Okay.
and so I was trying to, get so I could do it too.
Okay, well, I'm just thinking, this
My
would be a
daughter
good
lives-
topic for a presentation on a meeting day when we have an internet connection. So, other people interested, anybody interested in doing a presentation on Skype, how they use it? I got, okay.
Oh, not doing the presentation.
Hey, I got him on film. He volunteered.
Participate, they all participate.
Okay, well, maybe we'll do a workshop or something. Yes, Chuck?
Do you need to restrict some of the addresses that can come in on Skype? I had heard one guy comment that he got some unintended, unrequested mail
Okay.
or something.
I started using Skype and then I moved to open source Gizmo, which is another program that does the same thing. I couldn't find the setting in Skype where it would only show that I was available to the people that were in my address book. Okay, and it's in there. It's just, it was one of these things, my brain was not working as well as it should have. Okay, so I switched over to Gizmo because I knew where that setting was. But in all of these programs, you can have it set so that you can only be interrupted or called if they're in your address book.
Is Skype and iChat the same
Right.
thing?
Well, yeah, it's a good thing to set up because, who's got the brain power to remember people's, internet connections and their Skype IDs? You want to have all that stuff in an address book. That's why we carry the little paper address books with the phone numbers and the addresses, because our brains got more important stuff to do than remember that stuff. Yes, Bonnie?
Is Skype the same thing as iChat?
iChat and Skype are different. iChat is part of the operating system. It's an application that comes with the Apple computer. It will let you do some things that Skype won't let you do. But there's some things that you can get that are paid features of Skype that are way beyond what iChat is. I know of my sister-in-law works for the U.S. Navy. She also has a consulting business on the side. She has a Skype number in various locations where they call it as a local number, and then it reroutes it to her computer wherever she is. Now, that's something that's not available in iChat. So it's using the plain old, what we call POTS, plain old telephone system, and then it suddenly gets transmogrified into voice over IP through the internet, and then it finds your computer, and so you have a bell ringing on your computer saying, hey, answer the phone.
iChat is for Mac only. How can you go to talk to a PC?
Skype is...
No, iChat.
iChat is Mac only. But you can use iChat to talk to other chat clients that are not Mac only. So iChat will let you do Jabber and let you do AIM and the other one, IC. What's the other one? IC. Yeah, there's another chat protocol that's there. But what I like about iChat is the video feature, in that I can do a video conference with 2, 3. I find if I've got more than 3 people on the call, my DSL is not up to the task. But if I got 2 other people, we can do a quick video conference, and that's nice, because you can tell if they're lying and you can see them. It's important. Yeah.
When you said video conference, I'm familiar with iChat taking your picture with a little camera on
Yeah.
top of your machine. When you say video conference, does that mean you can show PowerPoint charts or something? I don't think so.
No, it's not doing whiteboard. What's going on there is the eyesight cameras getting my picture, and their eyesight cameras are getting their pictures, and you're displayed on this, it's...
Yeah, I was picking up.
Remember the game show Holiday Squares?
Yeah.
Okay. You get to be Ruby Goldberg in the middle with the other people around you, and everybody's talking.
But
Yeah.
didn't Steve Jobs also talk about whenever he described the iChat the first time it came out and showed it with two different people or 3 different people up on his screen? He was able to see some charts at that person's location.
There was, but I don't know how to do it.
I don't either, but
Yeah.
he acted like, yeah, that's a part
When
of
I
it.
need to do that stuff, I use whiteboard software that'll let you do that. Where you can actually, you have your PowerPoint program running, and that does one video feed, and then the eyesight camera's doing the other, and then it somehow sends it through. And other people can look at your PowerPoint and fall asleep. Yes, Bonnie? This is good, folks. We're trying to straighten out the meeting.
This is going to go a whole different route.
Okay.
Does anyone know anything about the free webs? With our business, everybody says, do you have a web page? Well, somebody told me about the free websites. Anybody know anything about them?
You mean where they do free hosting of your, well, if you have an AOL account, you also have a web account, a website attached to it. That's part of what you're paying for,
Yeah.
okay? Because when you would sign up for AOL, we're going back to the dial-up days, and then they started getting to the internet. When you had an AOL mail account that you were paying for, you also had a web page that would be created. If you buy a, what's it called now? It used to be .Mac, now it's MobileMe. MobileMe, for email, you also have a web page. That's where the user group has their web page up, which reminds me, I need to talk to you about MobileMe. I'm confused about updating my web stuff. Yes, you, Mr. Georges.
I'll find out where that is. Is that a web page that comes with AOL?
Yeah.
Are you paying for AOL? You got the free AOL.
I think they dumped it.
She pays.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, speaking of AOL, they
Yeah.
also have a new desktop software.
I thought it was still available.
It is, but it works pretty good.
Function in
It's
AOL.
not bad.
It'll say how to-
Bill Howe was just saying that, for those of you who are still using AOL accounts, that there's a new Mac OS 10 client that's compatible with Leopard for your email and all the other.
It's called AOL Desktop.
Yeah.
It's all it is. It works fairly well.
Do you remember version number of all?
No.
10.3's beta, or the 3's beta, 2's been out for a while.
Okay.
It's got your typical AOL feel, but it works.
Yes, sir.
Ken, 3 things. First, we're using the DSL SBC global. Periodically, we get this message about our email not being secure, and we look at the settings, and the settings are what they're supposed to be, and I call them, and of course, I'm talking to Dan as well.
Which browser are you using? Because you're doing web-based email, if I remember correctly. You're using a web browser.
We're using
to go to-
using mail that comes with the machine.
Oh, okay. And you're getting those messages with mail now that you've moved up to Leopard?
Yeah.
That's
Got-
very sweet.
Got 2 of them in the last 2 weeks.
Uh-huh.
Are there mail messages coming from mail?
It's coming from
Or are you
SBC.
using
SBC.
Safari? Is it coming up from Safari?
Firefox.
Fire.
Okay, well, it's probably some.
No, we're using either Safari or Firefox.
Okay, but
if
that's
you-
where the messages are
if you
coming
go to
from.
mail.
So if you don't have Safari or Firefox on, running, and you have mail up, you're getting a message through
Yep.
mail?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Because there's all kinds
It's
of.
coming, I
junk
guess,
email
from Yahoo.
Pop-ups that are doing that.
And I've talked to
SSL
him,
for secure socket.
oh yes,
That's what they're
That's
talking
true now.
about.
yeah.
He's talked it all the way through with them.
They said, yep, you got the right settings. Yep, you're getting the message.
Well,
We don't know why.
we still have unfinished business from over the summer because we still have to uninstall some stuff.
Well, we had a power
They took
supply
that off.
burnout.
Just go with this. Just say,
Yes.
just go
Yes.
ahead and say yes.
Yeah,
Well, let me know, what would be a good evening to bop over. I get off of work about 4. Okay, think on that. Okay.
next question.
Yeah.
Is Safari or Firefox 128 bit encryption?
Firefox is more than 128 bit. It's,
Okay.
336.
Has anybody here gone online with either Bureau of Public Debt or Treasury Direct? Because all their instructions are for Windows-based machines.
Yeah.
And when you send them an email inquiring about what to use for a Mac,
It should be
they don't
compatible.
respond.
You should be okay with Firefox or Camino, any of the Mozilla browsers. Safari, I'm going to say no. And it's not a security issue, it's more of a rendering issue of how to handle various things on their website. The other one you might want to try, and I know it's a secure browser, is Opera.
We got it.
Okay.
I had trouble getting into a local website. Gordon Food Services will not accept a Mac account. And the gentleman that left gave me a website, and I cannot for the life of me remember it, but that website, you can tell the account that you're going into that you're a Windows browser, and it thinks you're a Windows browser, and it accepts the information.
Well, you can also do that with Firefox. You can tell it to emulate
I
Internet Explorer 7
tried
or 8.
Firefox, I tried 2 or 3 of the different websites. Let me see if I have it, but it just tells the other account that you're a Windows browser, and it works beautifully.
If you don't have it here with you, Ray, could you?
I'll get it, yes.
But there's no one here who's tried going to either Treasury Direct or Bureau of Public Debt?
Not Treasury Direct because it's got that, secure link for, you're doing Treasury, you're ordering.
Right.
Yeah. I've been on the bond site, the U.S. Savings Bond site, and I ended up, it was coughing up airplanes, anything that you thought was Mac. So what I did was, now this is prior to Firefox 3.0. So this was Firefox 12.2.6, somewhere around there. There was a little preference where I could tell it to tell the web page that it was Internet Explorer 6 on a Windows machine, and then things just worked. So it's not a problem with your machine, it's a problem with a...
Why, if you have parallels installed, wouldn't that solve the problem? Because if you have parallels on your machine, some of these sites are really asking for a DOS interface.
Right. Or ActiveX. ActiveX. Okay, now we're going to ramp it up one more level of complexity. And it brings up something else that I just saw this other day. And that is parallels. Okay, here's the setup. You're on an Intel processor Macintosh. Okay? You're running Mac OS 10.4 or Mac OS 10.5. So if it's an Intel processor, you're running 10.4 or 10.5, you can run what's called a virtualization client, such as Parallels, Convergence, VMware, and VirtualBox from Sun, which is free. This is the one I'm playing with now. So you have this program running. I'm going to use VirtualBox as my example. VirtualBox is running. You then say, okay, I want to create a virtual machine. This is going to be a Microsoft Windows XP machine. You then install Microsoft XP, and it creates a virtual hard drive, and it does the install of XP or Vista, your choice. All depends on how much horsepower your machine has. And then you're actually running Windows within the virtualization client within your Mac OS X. So then it has access to all the hardware on the machine, including your internet ports. So you fire up Internet Explorer 6 or 7, and from within Windows XP, tunnel on out to that site, and you get done what you need to have done.
And does that give all the wonderful little Windows problems that
Absolutely.
The virtual machine can get
Absolutely.
No extra charge.
But the thing that's nice about virtualization is that when you turn off that virtual client, your Mac is still doing its thing, and you can have more than one virtual client going at a time. I was trying out this new product, VirtualBox, from Sun Computer. It comes in a Windows Intel version, an AMD version. It comes in a Linux kernel 2.4 and 2.6 version, and it comes in a Mac OS X version. Now, I was using the Mac OS X version for most of my explorations, but I installed Solaris, which is a Sun Unix operating system, and I installed Windows 98 and Windows XP, and I installed Ubuntu Linux Gutsy Gibbon and Ubuntu Linux Hardy Heron, and I had 3 of these guys running at the same time. So I was web browsing using Firefox and Ubuntu, and I was doing some secure shell stuff with Solaris, and I had Windows XP talking with Internet Explorer 6, I believe.
On what machine?
This was on an Intel-based Macintosh.
that's fine, but we have a Motorola based.
Okay.
Desktop or laptop?
This was a Mac Mini.
Mac? Okay.
Yeah, Mac Mini, about 1.8 gigahertz. Well, what's considered to be a low-power machine nowadays.
So,
You know, and all we can come up with is he didn't want to be able to recover emails. You know. And Lotus Notes, I mean, you got all that backup stuff's built in there, and you don't have to worry about corrupted PST files. And but that's the cynic in there. So, the other thing you might think about is if you need to do this on a regular basis, is a low-end Windows box that you use just for that. Okay? Think about it. Okay. Yes?
I have a couple of questions.
I know. And I owe you a couple of phone calls.
Well, I always have a dozen or so, but I'm limiting it to 2 right now.
Okay.
One is, speaking about not being able to do something on the web. Every time I go to US Air to try to check, you know, flights and fares and all of that, I put in my dates, which are for this year, and I'll get maybe one flight will come up on the web, but I can't get the whole record or the fare. It gives me a message that says, please enter a valid date. This is an invalid date. But it's like, I mean, it's not beyond.
What's the syntax that it's looking for? In other words, is it looking for year, month, day? Is it looking for a particular divider between?
Well, I tried, you know, typing in the date in the little blank or selecting it on the calendar.
Which browser are you using?
Safari.
Yeah, Safari won't work because it's basically a DOS system. You're going to go to Firefox. You don't have a problem.
Okay, so I have to buy Firefox? Is that
No.
You can download it free.
Okay.
Firefox is free open source software.
Okay.
Now, what that means is it's free to distribute. Okay? And you're free to donate to the Mozilla organization that is in charge of Firefox and other software products. But you don't have to pay to use it.
Okay, but I should download it on my dial-up. I'm gonna, and I have to get broadband, don't I, to do some of this stuff.
Okay. Yeah. The expectation on most commercial websites right now is that you've got this tremendously large pipe hooked to the internet and that you can handle all of these flash and see, you know, cascading style sheets and everything else that they're throwing at you. And they forget that still the majority, I don't think it's tipped yet, the majority of internet users are still on dial-up. They may not be exclusively on dial-up, but they're still on dial-up at this point in the U.S. Now, Korea, China, other places, it's very different. There's like almost no dial-up anymore.
I still can't really download stuff.
It's gonna
Someone
take
here
too long.
probably has the app they could give to you.
What?
Someone here probably has a
Yeah.
Firefox app that they can just copy to you.
Right. Or, the other thing is, should I plug Panera? Okay.
Libraries also.
Every so often, my wife, with her consulting business, she'll meet people at Panera, and every time she does that, she says, "You'll never guess who I saw at Panera." And I go, "Tom Kurtner." She says, "Yeah." You know, Tom's always there. In fact, there are people who think Tom works there. Anyway, he doesn't. But what Tom has learned is that you can get a really great cup of coffee, and I know, were you into the bread bowls of soup anymore? Okay.
Bagels.
There it is.
Bagels, okay. And the Wi-Fi. Okay, so when he's there, you've got a laptop that's got a Wi-Fi card in it, which means that you could connect to the internet while you're there, have a nice cup of coffee, and download that Firefox.
3.0, is that the one I should?
3.0.1 is the current one.
Okay, and that'll work on my 10.3 system?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, it'll actually look at your machine and show you the correct one. If not 10.3, then 10.2 will, and that's still available for download.
Okay, all right, I'll do that. Now, the other question goes back to, I don't know if you got your answer about free websites or not, but that's of interest to me. I was on Amazon.com ordering something, a menu, or a message, came up for Vista Print, I think. Is that the right name? Does anybody know about that? Anyway, you could order free business cards, and I thought, well, that sounds like a good thing to try. Well, of course, you get on there, and then they've got all this other stuff they want you to buy, and it goes on and on and on, and at one point, I didn't have a way to get out of it. So I ended up ordering business cards and address labels. But then they had this, you can get a website for $4.99 a month. But after all that stuff, I was afraid to even go check that and see what I would get into. But does anybody know anything about that company, or has anyone ever tried to get the website?
Mr. Booker, show your expertise.
Yeah, their website is very, can be confusing and misleading. It makes it look like you have to order something else in order to get the free business cards. You really don't have to do whatever all the other stuff is, because I've gotten business cards. I think I paid like $5 for the shipping to them. That was it.
Yeah, well, that was the other thing. I ordered address labels and business cards, and then, they were supposed to be free, but I got a little better one, and the business cards were $2, I think. The labels were $6, and the shipping was almost $10.
Yeah, they try to upsell you on, they have like a basic business card, and they try to upsell you on a higher grade business card that has more stuff on it.
But did you try to see what they would do with that website for $4.99 a month?
No, it's not.
Charles, do you have any recommendations for web hosting companies? Because I'm not really big on the ones that are free, because you have no control over contractual obligation.
The only one I can think of that's free, I can't remember the name of it right off the top of my head, but Google has a thing where you can make a web page. But I can't think of it. It's something Google. If you do search with Google, it should come up. But Google has a free where you can make your web page, lay it out, and post it.
But how do you know what you're actually getting? I mean, can you just do that to try? Do you have to buy a domain address? No, you just go there and do it.
Yeah, your domain address will go pretty much all the free ones. If it's Google, it's going to be Google/whatever. It's not going to be whatever you want it to be. If you want your own domain name, you're going to have to pay for that.
But can you go back and make changes on it then, if you want to change it, or is it?
Changes to what? The domain name or the website? Web page, yes. Yeah. Yeah, you change the web page, yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Al, so you had a question?
Yeah, what I'm hearing that on it's on my Safari, I cannot download PDF files. But if I go to Firefox, I can. On the
What happens when, if you're in Safari and you're trying to do the PDF, does it display it in there?
No, it's just a blank.
Okay, there are, I've run into this problem before, and it had to do with the U.S. courts. There are some of the U.S. court websites and some of the Ohio court websites that do not work with Safari. No way, no how. And I was banging my head against the wall on that for one of my reporters wanted to only use Safari, and we ended up having to have them use Firefox.
If one browser doesn't work,
Reader was properly installed, we ended up uninstalling everything, fresh setups, and then at that point Firefox would work correctly.
You might ask him to suggest that Adobe Reader, if he doesn't download the free one, then Firefox shouldn't have a problem.
Al, do you have a free Adobe Reader installed on your reader? Okay. You might want to, just for belt and suspender, you go out, and I think it's the next to last or the last command line on the menu bar. There's one where it says repair installation. You might want to run that just to verify, because it'll look at the browsers and make sure that the plugins are put in the right places. Yes, Mr. Decker?
Sometimes when you're using Safari and you try and download a PDF file, you get a blank Safari page. As it's downloading the file, if you have your little download box hidden somewhere, you may not see that you're actually downloading the file to your computer. And that might be causing part of the problem. You know, watch what.
I'm going to make a suggestion that we take a short 15-minute biological break, give people another chance to look at that, and then when you come back, I'm going to put together some sort of presentation for you. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. We're going to do something. Sometimes they get damaged. Older modems, some of the older modems require 2 pair, so you've got to have all 4 lines hooked up. The newer modems, you're only expecting the 1 pair with 2 lines coming through. So you start with the physical cable, you look at that. What you're describing, now this is all at one physical location? Okay. Would seem to me that it's more likely a case of either a modem driver, okay, or it's the modem on the other end that's causing the problem when it does the negotiation process. Can you give me an idea of what you're hooking up to on the other end?
Well, we were getting ready to go on vacation, and I know that the place we're going to does not have DSL. I'm going to have to use a modem. So I called SBC and I called AOL and asked for phone numbers here and phone numbers in the area we're going to.
Right.
And so I thought, well, I'm going to debug it here before I get out to the condo, and then won't have anything to do. But it seems like it's happening with both SBC number and with the AOL number. That the first time after I boot the computer, it will connect. But if I sign off and try to sign back on, or if the computer goes to sleep and the computer comes back on, it won't connect. It says it cannot get a carrier. Now AOL, I've got 2 numbers in AOL.
Yeah.
And the first number, sometimes the first number will connect. I can sign off AOL, sign back to AOL. The first number will not connect. The second number will. Then third time, neither number will connect. It says it doesn't have a carrier.
Is it disconnecting the actual phone line and trying to dial out on an existing, like somebody pick up the phone and then trying to dial? And I just wonder if it's completely disconnected. Try to pull the thing, the modem line out of the wall and then plug it back in.
See, I do have at home, I have the SBC connection, so I'm using a DSL.
Yeah, okay.
And I have a little splitter on there with the phone line on one side and the DSL on the other.
You may not be disconnecting that phone line connections, can you get it, when it's trying to do that, can you get a dial tone on your regular phone? Have you tried that?
Between calls?
I don't think I've tried that, but I was assuming I could, but I
Well, it may not, it's just not hanging up the phone.
The other thing you might want to look at is if you've got another one of those filters, filters do go bad over time. And the requirements for a dial-up line are significantly greater than just a regular voice.
But it seems like if I shut, well, maybe disconnecting is a thing, that's what it sounds.
Because of the filter, it may not recognize the
Yeah.
disconnect like you would if you hung up the phone. And so just disconnect the modem from the phone line and then plug it back in and see if it works.
Thank
And
you.
they
And
register a dial tone. Because that's usually what happens when you don't have a dial tone, when you sit in no carrier.
But he says he goes to the other line, so unless it recognizes.
Yeah, but he's going to, he's dialing another number, but he's still
Well, I know.
hooked on the same physical.
But if he was still.
But he didn't get signal drop, he didn't get signal drop. So
Then he
it's,
should be able to get back to where he was, shouldn't he? Not
No,
back
because
to-
if you,
Why would he get back to a new number?
well, because if it goes to sleep, sometimes the computer will disconnect, but the modem isn't disconnected. You know, it's not hanging out the phone because it's not getting the proper signals.
Yeah, but he says he makes a call to number one.
it works the
And
first,
then
he
this
boots
is
this
the first-
machine,
right.
makes his call, everything's hunky-dory.
Right.
Okay,
Now
he
this happens.
disconnects,
Now he cannot go back to the first number, but he can go to the second number. And if he weren't disconnected, how could he get to the second number?
That's true.
I look at the modem preps, run a, you know, one of the various utilities that check preps for corruption, just to see, and those are those P lists. Yeah, they're P lists. There's P list checkers, one, not MAG, yeah. Oh, have a break
OmniX,
card.
I'm using OmniX.
I can see the icon for the app, for the life of me, I can't remember the name of it. It just had an update. It's like Leopard Cache Cleaner, Onyx, whatever. It's got a thing for checking P lists.
I think I've got Onyx in
Yeah.
the system, so.
Yeah, Onyx has that little thing where you go over, you know, almost all the way to the end, and it's got the thing for checking preferences.
Thank you.
I was just gonna add one more thing, and that is when you dial an AOL number, you may not get the same modem every time when you dial that number because they rotor them. So there may be a bank of modems, because I had a situation where we were at Myrtle Beach where I was getting dropout. This is several years ago, dropout. I ended up talking to somebody who actually worked for AOL and actually would answer my question. It took me a while. And it turns out that they've got them rotored, and there's a bank of 8 of them down there, and 2 of them are meh. So you just keep trying until you get the right one. So it's like pulling the slot machine lever.
Earthlink does have an option on their accounts that if you can get an 800 number, dial in. It's a little bit more, but I don't know if, you know, your provider might have an 800 number available. And then you don't have to worry about local numbers.
Okay. So anyway, so wanted to finish up that business before we go forward. Hold your thoughts for just a minute. I've got to follow the plan as Mr. George has told me to do. And that is, first of all, I have 2 things to let you know. They're both sort of sad things. Art Aronson, our treasurer, is in Miami Valley Hospital, and he's been diagnosed with lung cancer. Okay. So if you believe in the power of prayer, be appreciated if you could put him on your prayer list. And then the other thing is we had lost one of our members over the summer, Carol Rader, died. He had an embolism. I think that was beginning of September, if I remember correctly. Okay, so wanted to get that out for those of you who, somebody had asked me where, excuse me, Carol. Carol. Somebody had asked me where Carol was, and I said, well, that's a good question. And then the other thing that I want to do is the raffle. Mr. George, you said we need to, you know, it's not like you don't have enough booty to take home. We got some more stuff for you. So,
Try just to get them on airport. And it couldn't find this thing, but if I was on battery. But if I plugged my charger in when I'm outside out, pops right up.
think about what a laptop's supposed to be doing. One of its major features to make it usable is energy conservation. So it's going to try and reduce the amount of power that's going to other peripherals. Sort of like if you're outside, it's winter, it's really cold, what does your body do to conserve energy? It starts cutting down the blood flow to the appendages, keeping the blood flow in the core. Well, same thing with a laptop. When you said, oh, we have more energy, it said, oh, okay, I can give a little more energy to this, a little more energy to that. And your airport card had a little more sensitivity. And this is me guessing, but
generally there's preps for that kind of thing. Like you can have it did the screen display or not.
yeah.
You can have it, some systems have reduced CPU
But
power.
it's been my experience that when laptop batteries start to get marginal in terms of their carrying capacity, that the daughter board that does the energy. I need to get back into this whole thing again. I'm just still in Ireland.
You are gone.
Oh, I'm on the cliffs of Moher, you know, in the rain, going, damn, we came all the way to Ireland to not be able to see the cliffs.
Let's go look.
Okay, well, this is a tiger box, not a panther box. So it's not gonna,
It's not gonna come up with power.
well, it'll come up with power, but it just won't come up with milliamps in there.
How to get there.
Yeah. Let me see if I got something else here that will let me do it. Dun, 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 dun. What I'm doing is I'm looking for an application called Leopard Cache Cleaner that I think I may have put on this box. And no, I didn't. This is my other, this is the one I keep clean. But anyway, power issues. Laptops, batteries start to get a little bit flaky. You'll start to get strange things going on with laptops. Okay. Yes, Ron?
Did you take your computer along with you to Ireland? And
No.
His wife said no.
No. While I do take Carol's advice, she's not just my wife, she's also my best friend. I listen to when she tells me stuff, and I think about it at least. But we decided we were not going to take anything, no cell phones. The only digital thing we took was we took 2 cameras, or three cameras, because we didn't want to be connected. If we needed to be connected, we knew we could stop at a library, pay them €1 or €2 to become a member and be able to use their computers, if the hotels didn't have it. But we took no computers with us whatsoever. And you know, I especially wouldn't take any company equipment because these things are all using PGP encryption, and the custom guys get really freaky when they see the entire hard drive's encrypted. They want you to give them the password so that they can look at what's on the hard drive. So, I'm sorry, I'm just not that. I just don't take electronics with me.
But for people traveling to Ireland, you'll find that there's greater accessibility for Wi-Fi and that sort of thing in Ireland than almost any European country.
Technology. They're doing things, and I see them, and I go like, wow, why don't we do that? I'm on the rapid transit train, dark in Dublin, and we had to make a change. So we had to get off of this line and stand on the platform, catch another train. And I'm looking at the LED display. It doesn't just say that there are trains running. It shows me that there's 3 trains, and when they're going to arrive at this station, and it's all real-time update. So if they get slowed up a little bit, it goes from, oh, it's not going to be at 2:13, it's going to be at 2:15. Surveillance cameras all over the place. I have never seen so many surveillance cameras in my life. And I haven't been to the UK in many, many years, but I've been told there's even more over there. That just amazed me. Other things, energy conservation, water conservation. I saw some things being done, and I'm going like, wow, that really makes sense. You go to your hotel room, they give you one of these little scramble cards to open the lock and that. In Ireland, after you open the door and you go into the hotel room, there's another little thing on the wall. You put the scramble card in there and the power comes on in the room. So if you're leaving the room and taking your room key with you, the power's off. Okay? little things like that. And it was ubiquitous. I mean, the pub, the one pub I'm thinking of, we didn't have a laptop, but somebody else in the group did. They had one of these small little Linux handheld jobs. They were getting the fastest internet connection they had ever seen. And it was in some, I mean, this was not, a high-tech pub. I mean, it was just some hole in the wall. And I had the bus driver told me that apparently their internet connectivity is not as good as Sweden or Norway, but it's better than the UK. I know he said something derogatory about BT. I think that's British Telecom. I'm not sure, but apparently he had lived in England for a time and was not pleased by British Telecom. Yes?
I'm looking at the maintenance notes here.
Yes.
Looking at them out tonight. And it talks about backing up your hard drive so you can reboot in case you have a crash. And the time machine.
Yeah.
My time machine gave me a notice the other day that said your files are full.
Yeah.
If you want to save to a different disk in your, does that mean there's a separate disk in the time machine? Or?
No, it means that if you hooked up another USB or FireWire drive, you could then continue to save onto that.
Okay.
Now, I am not a time machine expert, but I've had 4 people today ask me questions about time machines. So I'm going to do some more research on this. My understanding right now, which is meager, is that once it fills the hard drive, at that point, it then starts to get rid of some of the redundancies of the backups.
Yeah, the oldest file.
Right.
Now, this
No, it actually does something a little more elegant than that. It isn't necessarily the oldest file. What it'll do is it'll start taking those monthly backups, the weekly, the daily, the hourlies, and it'll start to sort out between those and throw some of that stuff away.
Now, this says you should also back up your hard drive into the time machine in case you want to reboot. That's what this sheet
Yeah.
I
think that was the handout. Did you bring that in? Yeah, that was from previous meeting that we had before the break, the summer break. Okay, so I'm trying to get my brain back there. I'm still in Ireland.
That means if you're traveling and you have a crash, you don't have access to your time machine, so that means you should download something from your time machine to a CD.
I would have a bootable CD if I was going on business and I absolutely positively had to have access to certain applications and certain files. I would have a bootable CD or DVD that had a workable operating system for that laptop, along with the bare bones applications I need to have, whether that's Microsoft Office or whatever, email clients, and those documents that I need to have, I probably have on a flash drive.
Bill?
Yeah.
What I found convenient in a case like that is this little thing right here. Your MacBook, it's got, what, 160 gig, something like that?
Yeah, 120, 160.
This little thing holds 160 gig, and I just do carbon copy cloner from my MacBook onto this, and it is your whole disk. It is your whole computer, so it's bootable right from this. And it's small, I can take it with me.
Is that like a Lacey?
What is the brand on this one?
Is that a Rock
This is
Store?
Toshiba.
Toshiba. Okay.
Well, I have one like that on my machine, or that I bought. But every time my computer, if I shut it down, it takes forever. And I mean like days and fooling with it to even get it to pop back up on my computer.
Is it a FireWire or a USB hard drive?
USB.
USB. How old is your
This
computer?
kind of thing. That's a USB, right?
That's USB, yeah.
That's what it is.
How old is your computer, Bonnie? Because that'll give me an idea of what type of USB port it has on it. Probably, I'm guessing if it's an older machine, you have USB 1.
I would say it's at least 6 years old.
Okay, you got you may not even have USB 1, you may have the original USB. That doesn't have it doesn't allow data to move as rapidly as the newer versions of USB will.
Even though I have one of those airports that you plug all these things into, that make it work?
It's still not going to speed it up because it's what it has. It's going to, the data will move at the speed of the slowest link on the port, the link on the chain. Okay. Send me an email. This is the stuff over at your house, over at your mom's house.
Mine.
Okay. Send me an email with what kind of Mac you got, what version of the operating system, okay, and make and model of the hard drive. Okay. Because we're talking about a hard drive, not a flash drive, right? Okay, let's see. Okay. Okay. I need more info. I'm going to go to Charles at the back.
I got a question. Does anybody here know how to fix Epson printer? I have an Epson printer that stopped printing black, all the colors were working. Now I can't print black. I've changed the cartridge and it just won't. Sometimes when I do the clean, it'll print for maybe 1 or 2 pages, and then it goes back to not being able to print black. It just broke. Should I get a new one or can I get it fixed?
Because if it was connectivity between the cartridge and the bolt motor, yeah, cleaning the cartridge would fix it.
Could be contacts.
One cartridge is out, nothing, I mean, I can't, like all your color cartridges, okay?
The colors were fine. No, there's no.
What model Epson is it, Charles?
Charles, what model is it?
It's a fairly new model. I want to say it's a photo, so it's a 6-color.
Okay.
And I want to say it's a 595, but I'm not sure.
Is that the one that's got the place where you can put the SD cards in there?
No. Okay. It has a USB port on the front, an extra USB port on the front.
Okay.
So if you're hooking up a laptop or something, it has that.
It's not an all-in-one where it's got the scan.
No. It's just a regular photo printer.
Thought from up here is if it was the connectivity between the cartridge and the printer, sometimes you can buff those down, you get the connectivity again. Cleaning the printhead wouldn't have any effect on that one way or the other. So, I don't know, consensus is printhead up here. Consensus up here is printhead. And I think somebody said trash can. Yeah.
You might try swabbing the point where the cartridges contacts meet, are on the printer itself, with alcohol or something.
I tried Windex.
That didn't do it?
No.
Because I've had good luck using Windex to clear Epsons. You actually, there's also a company that sells these cartridges that are cleaner cartridges. That's all they do is clean the printhead.
It basically has a diethyl glycol solution to purge out the printhead. But do not be sad. I have some printers in my basement that I need to get, and one of them is an Epson, and it's got a place to put the photo, the SD cards in that in the front, and a little LCD, and you want it?
No.
Okay.
We had,
Let me go to Dan, and then there was somebody else that had.
we had
Yes.
the CPU in one of those printers time. And it lost a color,
Yeah,
lost a color,
yeah.
lost a color. Then went out sequentially. And it was the controlling card in it. Wasn't the printhead, wasn't the connection on the cartridge. It was.
One of the things that we're recommending
It
to,
was the controlling card. We were losing a color. We lost another color, lost another color sequentially.
one of the things that I'm recommending to my outside customers, friends, relatives, my mother-in-law, is instead of buying another inkjet printer, I've been telling them to look at the Xerox Phaser 6100. It's a color laser. It's about $300. The consumables are not real expensive, and when you really look at how much it costs for each one of those little ink cartridges, you're almost better off. I think you're better off within half a year going to a xerographic printer from your inkjet printer.
What was that
No, this is
again?
regular. It's toner. It's not Dyson, no, and it's not wax thermal.
Would you say the name again?
Xerox Phaser, and I believe it's the 6130 is the one that we got. My wife's been really happy with it. In fact, she had me lock it down so nobody else can print to it except her. And there's a benefit. This thing is network capable out of the box, okay? And you can remotely go in and administer it with your web browser and your network. And it tells me what the humidity is in the basement, so I can tell whether I need to change the thing on the dehumidifier. This is great. This is a great quality. Yes, George?
Okay, you got me started on printer questions.
Okay, we got another printer question up front. Go ahead, George.
I got an HP all-in-one, relatively new.
Okay.
And I'm, except for HP software, I'm relatively happy with it. And it's got individual color cartridges. 6 of them, I think there is. Black. All right. I've used it, a certain amount, and the black and all the other colors except the yellow show minimal usage. I mean, reasonable. But the yellow cartridge, it says it's empty.
Okay.
Any thoughts about, and I haven't been producing, I usually
You want to make
yellow.
sure that when you print, that you have it set to print black and white when you're doing black and white pieces of paper. Because it may be doing some coloring, in which case it would be using, because if it thinks that black letters on the white paper are not quite black, it will throw in yellow with the black to make the right shade of color. I've seen that happen. Yeah, that's why. That's why I got my mother-in-law one that only has the combined cartridge and the black cartridge, and we leave the color cartridge out most of the time, so it can't print color even if it wants to.
And the fix is to be sure that you only, when you're doing black and white, you force it to do black and white.
Correct. Print says it's color or black.
Yeah.
And just make sure you select black.
It does tend to use yellow. Mine
Yeah.
uses yellow.
Yeah, because what it does is the color printer will use all your colors to create black instead of just using white. That's why it's a color printer, because there's many shades of black.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
But again, I'm very much, if you do primarily black printing, let's say you're not doing color printing at all. Okay, you have an inkjet and you're typically just printing, regular text on a white piece of paper. You really might want to look at some of the new lasers, the xerographic printers that are out there. They're getting down to the $150, $160 level, and the consumables are much less expensive. I mean, do you want to buy a black cartridge where the ink is more expensive than champagne, and it's only good for maybe 500 sheets for like $50, or you want to buy a xerographic toner cartridge for $90, it's good for 5,000 sheets? I mean, you get a lot more bang for your buck with a laser.
What do those toner cartridges cost when you do have them?
About $90, somewhere between. Depends on.
It varies on the printer.
Yeah. Now you want to stay away from the fax machines, because fax machines that also are printers have a different type of cartridge if they're laser than the regular laser printers, and those cartridges are like priced like the inkjets are. I mean, it's $400 for a cartridge, and the fax machine cost me $84. It's like, whoa, no.
Well, how do you think they make their money?
I understand that. But you know, I got 2 in grad school right now and 1 finishing up undergrad, and I gotta watch the pennies.
Should I try and refill it yet? Or is there, I heard that sometimes HP's got chips on some of those cartridges that won't allow you to,
Okay.
to try and defeat the.
The question is, do you want to refill your inkjet cartridges? Okay. There used to be, I don't know if there's somebody that's come back into business or not, but there was an outfit at Dayton Mall, and there was one up at Fairfield Commons that would do re-inking. I believe Office Max still has a re-inking service. Okay. And I found that with inkjet cartridges, the manufacturers have engineered them to make them more and more difficult to re-ink. At work, we no longer use the approved HP cartridges. We're buying Rhino cartridges because those we know we can recycle and get refilled, where the other ones aren't. Now, you mentioned the thing about inkjet cartridges having chips on them that won't allow them to be refilled. It's actually worse than that. Lexmark and HP have chips so that if it's sat on the shelf, after a certain date, it won't work. I found that out the hard way. I had this, large stockpile of Lexmark cartridges and discovered that none of them will work anymore, even though they're full and should be fully functional.
Question on this Xerox phaser. Is it a scanner printer or is it just a printer?
It's just a printer.
It is.
Yeah, but it's also networked, so you can hook it up to one computer or put it on your network where anybody on your network can print to it. It was about $350. The thing I want you to take away from this is not one particular manufacturer or model, but just you might want to look at the lasers versus the inkjets.
Do you know if there are any lasers that are also scanners and copiers?
There are some that are considered what they call all-in-one, where it's a fax machine, it's a lathe, it's a scanner, it's a copier, and it uses a toner cartridge. I don't know if you're going to get color though. The all-in-one color printers, for the most part, are still inkjet.
This is just a black and white machine. This
That phaser
Yeah.
No, that's a color.
That is color.
Yeah. And it's doing like 2400 DPI. I mean, my wife's using it for business materials that she's handing out to clients, and wow, they look sharp. And it sure beats the bill that what she was paying the Kinko's to get stuff done.
What about the power draw? Do you need it to be on a separate dedicated circuit?
It's just on a regular circuit. It's not like the lasers in the past. My wife would know when I was printing because the lights in the house would dim. My kids used to make bad jokes about electrocutions and executions. Oh, somebody's sing just when no, that's just Dad printing on his Laser Rider V23.
So you can have it on the same circuit as the computer?
Yeah. Yeah. Very low draw. In some cases less than a microwave oven. I've got it. We've got a row of printers. We've got a HP 4000 TN, the Lexmark, the Xerox phaser, and then there's an HP 5, I want to say, and they're on one surge strip, and it's just going into a regular electric outlet. I think it's a 15-amp service, so it's not even a hefty service. Yes, George.
Another printing tech. I have a Samsung laser printer.
Okay.
And I really liked it. It was, again, like pay $80 and you got almost an infinite supply of black and white, just black and white.
Yeah. That's if you don't get kids that are printing out masterpieces.
But I think the fuser died on it, so it's dead. And I tried to find somebody that had repair. I want the Samsung now. No, it's non-repairable. All this kind of stuff. Does anybody have any advice on that? Please. Right. Okay.
You'll pay more for a fuser. You can go out and buy a decent little HP laser printer for $200, $250, and you'll spend almost that much on a fuser repair.
If I was trying to repair HP LaserJet 5 SI. You know, it'll do 11 by 17s. A brand new, never used fuser replacement is $628. I know that because I had to get rid of an old frame because I was willing to spend $628.
Back to the, back to Charles Epson.
Yeah.
Still here?
No, I think Charles had to go.
Oh, okay, so I was gonna suggest that he open it up and look for loose connections.
When I see him at work on Monday, I'll tell him that, Charles, you need to look for some loose screws.
Just a thought. Before you give up.
Charles and I both do IT support. Actually, he's doing programming support now. But he's hardware savvy, trust me. If he's already field stripped it at least once. Okay, and he was looking for that Hail Mary. Yeah, this is the thing you didn't know.
If it's less than a year old, that's gonna swap it out.
I didn't think about that. Yeah, because they increased their warranty because they were having all those quality control problems.
I've had a couple people who've called up the products less than a year and they'll just say, you know, send it to you, throw the other one away.
Yeah, I don't know how many of you people remember Leo Chico from Microcomputer. Yeah, Leo's on Epson printer number 4, same model. He gets them, they work for about 2 weeks, and then they stop working. And then, you know, he starts talking to the tech rep, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, this guy really does know what he's doing. Oh, okay, it must be the printers. So, they've just been having quality control problems. I mean, need I say Lenovo? I mean, do you want to know about what's going on with some of the electronics nowadays? Yes?
I don't know about Epson, but HP used to have problems when you'd go into a cleaning cycle when you first booted up the printer, and it would deposit a number of colors into a cup on the side. That cup would build up to a point that you'd have to clean it out every once in a while.
The new ones, anything built since 2000 doesn't have that little cup anymore. But yeah, many a time I emptied the cup on that disc writer and went, oh, God. And of course, you know, you can't just take it and empty it. You got to get in there with it. Yeah. Hey, you know, they improve product over time. Okay, I've got 1 minute to 12. You've been very, very patient with me. Our plan is for next month we're going to try and either redo the Booker presentation, or I just gave Jay Newhouse a copy of Bento, and maybe we'll have that. But I'll let you all know what we're doing ahead of time. That's correct. And, you know, it's always good to have a plan B. We got room for one last question or comment.
Just a quick.
You want to close this out, Lena? Go ahead.
Well, when I logged off the internet last night, there is something that looks like an MP3 download, and underneath it says scam alert or something or other. And when I open it, the iTunes agreement comes up, and I don't know where that came from.
Did you recently upgraded iTunes?
Well, maybe, because they did.
That comes up every time you do an upgrade. It'll come up with a license agreement. You just agree and it goes on there.
But why does it say scam alert?
That's probably a pop-up from something on your browser.
Okay. What I'm taking away from the meeting today is, one, we need to have a thing on backups, including Time Machine. Okay, presentation on that. And I'm thinking we need to have one on what to be very careful about when you're on the internet. Okay? And I'll bring in some of my Nigerian 409 letters that and then the other one was Skype. Okay? So I'll see if we can get those three, I can find presenters on those three. Move forward with that.
Sounded like you could have something on printer somewhere along the line.
Okay, in printers. Okay, this is excellent. And there was one last thing I forgot to tell you. I really missed you folks over this.
We missed you.